There is a place called heaven, whether you see it or not. That doesn't change the existence of God's ultimate plan for our life. What is that plan? In Jeremiah, he says that there is a plan. God has a plan. Sometimes we're like, can I suggest a plan B? That's what I was doing, because heaven didn't seem real to me at times because I didn't see it. Some people think I only have one foot just because they see only one foot, but I have a little second one right here, and it's always there. God's presence is always there. If you call upon the name of the Lord, you shall be saved and healed and redeemed. And I'm not here just to share with you a sad story. I want to tell you that we all have ups and downs. You see my foot? Ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. And I'm not here today to tell you that I understand your pain. And I know that we're recording this for other facilities as well. And I want you to know that if you're watching this recording, that God loves you and He has a plan. And sometimes when I heard those words, I'm thinking, well, what kind of plan is this? If God is a God of love, then what good could come out of this? I don't know if God's going to give me arms, legs in this lifetime, but I'll tell you just one quick story of why I have joy in my life. Thank God for my parents, first of all, and my family for loving me through that. But 8 years ago, I was here in this area speaking at a church, and a little boy with no arms, no legs was in the crowd. The father held him up, 19-month-old little Daniel Martinez. No arms, no legs, little foot just like me. And I'm like, wow, that's so cool. We're gonna wrestle later on. I got the father to bring him up on stage, and everyone was looking at him and people were crying. I looked at him, he's looking up at me with his big brown eyes and a big smile. When I looked at him, I remembered when I was at school, when I was getting teased, when I was getting bullied, when I felt alone, when I was broken, when I was depressed, to the point of an attempted suicide at age 10. I tried to drown myself in our family bathtub because I felt alone. I felt worthless, and I felt life was pointless. If there is no point to my suffering, then if God's not going to relieve my suffering, then I'll do it myself. But by the grace of God, I did not go through with that because of the love of my parents. But I thought one way of really seeing a miracle would be if God would send a limbless man to my school and talk to all these kids about bullying. That would have changed my life. That would be classed in my eyes as a miracle. Or when you don't get a miracle, you can still be a miracle of God for someone else. It's that 15-foot radius around you, the people you come into contact with. People notice my smile. People notice when I look them in their eyes, they're like, what's a guy without arms and legs smiling about? Well, I love God, and He has set me free. The only cure to death is resurrection, and because I believe I'm living forever and ever and ever, not that just heaven is real, but Jesus is real to me now. He carries me when I cannot walk. And if God can use a man without arms and legs to be His hands and feet, then God can use you too. If God used my broken pieces, then God can use your broken pieces. If God caused a lame woman to walk in India in front of me, He can cause you to walk if you cannot walk. But let me tell you about the love of God for a second. This old woman in India, she looked about 144 years old. I mean, she couldn't close her mouth because she was that weak. She looked at me, she was trembling like this, and through a translator, we spoke to her. Where were we in India? In the red light district of brothel houses, 150 brothel houses where 10-year-olds are kidnapped and sold by their parents sometimes for $700. Forced into sex slavery. That's where we were going to preach the gospel, and we went into a home, and this old woman was sitting down on the floor. Her sister walks in and says, stop talking about your God, stop talking about Jesus, show me that He's real, make this woman walk. She said, I don't want to hear about your God. Let me see it. So I sort of took a step back and I'm like, okay, God, you know that she's putting you on the spot here, not me, right? You know that you're not putting me on the spot. She's putting you on the spot. I just want you to get that here. So we prayed about it, prayed for her, prayed just right there and then with even a camera rolling. And the first time she tried to get up, she couldn't get up. She was trying to stretch her legs out. She hadn't walked for 4 years. She's never left that front door for 4 years. They carry her to the restroom. Her sister was saying that she was dying. Now, we prayed again. She got up all by herself. She started jumping up and down. It was a miracle. But here's the miracle, who that woman was. That woman wasn't just any woman. That woman was the one who started that whole red light district 45 years ago of organizing sex slavery, getting the pimps and the madams and the kidnappers and ruining and destroying thousands and thousands of girls' lives. And God healed her. God pursued her. God pursues you every day, every breath. For as long as you are breathing, the door of mercy and grace is open to you. People that have arms and legs, well, it's easy for you. People can come in here and say, well, just be positive. Well, it's easy for you because you get to go home and I can't go home. And I just want you to know, though, that there is something I have come here to prepare a message for you, to let you know that there is hope beyond what you see. And I want you to know that I've been around the world and I've spoken on 3,000 stages and I've been in highest maximum security prisons all around the world. And in fact, there was one man that I met that I'll never forget in Colombia. And I know it's getting a little warm. Can you turn on that big fan at the back at the very top, please? Are you guys getting warm? Are you guys okay? You guys all right? All right, just want to make sure you guys are good. If you could switch on that big fan, because in about 45 minutes, it might be a little bit warmer. And I get warmed up as well. My hands fly everywhere, all right? But I do want to say this, that as I've traveled around the world, I've been in a number of high maximum security prisons. And in fact, when I went to this prison, there was a section of the prison I could not go to. There were some people who just were, they said, too dangerous for me to meet. Now look, I'm not nervous to meet anyone. You know, my palms don't get sweaty. My palms don't get sweaty. My knees don't shake at all. And you know, when in life, we have things in life that come and we try to figure out, well, who am I and what am I doing? And what's my purpose? Is there any purpose at all to my life in the end? When I went to this maximum security prison, they said, Nick, we've done the speech, but you didn't meet a couple people. And I'm like, well, I want to meet them. They said, are you sure? They said, all right. So I went there and I was in my manual wheelchair. Someone was pushing me. I didn't have this cool little thing here. And I went up to the bars. And this guy and a couple guys next to him were looking at me while I was just sharing a couple things. You know what happened? Some guy reached through the bars and grabbed my shirt and pulled me forward. And I got a little scared. And everyone's like, hey, whoa, 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 whoa. They were freaking out a little bit. And he started crying. You know what he said? He said, Nick, go around the world and tell my brothers. Go around the world and tell my brothers who are behind prison bars for life that there is hope. He said, do you see these wardens? Do you see these guards? Do you see the staff here at the prison? Nick, they get to go home. They get to have a home-cooked meal. They get to see their kids. But Nick, I look at them in their eyes and they don't believe in heaven. I look at them in their eyes and those people who don't believe in Jesus, they're not free yet. He looked at me and he said, I'm more free than them. And it freaked me out. I was like, wow, this man knows that there is something greater than the disabilities around you or the limitations around you. And I stand before you without arms and legs, telling you right now that I am absolutely not disabled. And I want you to know that just because you're behind prison bars, it doesn't mean that of course you're in prison. I know there's physical bars. I know there's physical limitations. But you know what this guy said? He said, Nick, now I've realized I've met Jesus behind these prison bars. And now when I take my last breath here, I'm going home.